episode 105 of the podcast. This week, I'm talking about a couple of statements that I saw on Facebook. One is, it's almost to the point where I can't get him done. And the other one is, I just couldn't finish the groom today. And we're going to unpack all of that because there's a lot of hidden little gems in those two statements. You're listening to the Creating Great Grooming Dogs podcast. I'm Chrissy Newmeyer-Smith. I'm a certified professional groomer, a certified behavior consultant for canines, a certified professional dog trainer, and the owner of Happy Critters in Nashua, New Hampshire. And this, my friends and colleagues, is the podcast where grooming and training meet. There have been a couple of discussions on Facebook this week that really inspired this episode because I started writing an answer and then I realized, oh my God, I don't have time to write an answer for this. This is a book, right? So what are some of those statements that I've been seeing? And I've saw it a lot. One of them is, and kind of almost a direct quote, it's almost to the point where I can't get it done. Ooh, gosh, that's a big one, isn't it? It's almost to the point where I can't get it done, where I can't get the grooming done. And then the other statement that's pretty close to it, I just couldn't finish the groom today. I just couldn't get it done. It's almost to the point where I couldn't get it done, and I just couldn't get it done. Those two statements I've been seeing a lot. So let's unpack that. Let's take a closer look at all of that, because here is your truth bomb. Are you ready? Hold on. It tells me that this dog is struggling the entire time, and you're trying to get it done on a dog who is struggling. Yeah, duh, Chrissy, of course that's what we're doing. We're dog groomers, right? So if you're thinking about that, unless you've been listening to the podcast for a while, or you study behavior, or you're a trainer, that it's not necessarily obvious that that's the problem. But, and here it comes, your truthiness of the day, continuing to groom a dog who is struggling creates more struggling. Let me repeat that, because it's one of those things that tends to be true. Very few things that I can say for all dogs, but this tends to be true. If a dog is struggling and we continue to groom them while they are struggling, we create more struggling. That's the dog that gets worse and worse and worse, and you start saying things like, it's almost to the point where I can't get it done. Or you say things like, I just couldn't finish the groom today. I don't know what to do next. What do I do? It's now reached the point where I can't finish the grooming. And it's because you're trying to push through the struggling to get the job done. But underneath that dog's coat is a little doggy brain, right? He's not a grooming project. He's got a little doggy brain in there. And we need to think about the experience he's having and keeping him safe and keeping us safe and building the exact behavior we want. So while I know it's so obvious that of course he's struggling and of course I'm trying to get it done, for so many people that's still very obvious. And I was like that. That's the way I was taught to groom. That was a long time ago. I've changed. I'd like to see all of us kind of change and evolve a little bit because that is what creates the problem. Now, last week I talked a little bit about walking you through how I do a nail trim. Just a nail trim, right? The moment the dog indicates that they are uncomfortable, I back off and try to figure out why. Because some of these dogs that we're talking about with it's almost to the point where I can't get it done, or it's now at the point where I can't complete a grooming, some of those dogs started off super, super normal. But we pushed through, and pushing through is scary, and pushing through is stressful, and pushing through can sometimes hurt, and pushing through makes them afraid. So part of what I'm trying to change in the grooming industry is for us to be a little bit more aware of, you know what? I'm not here to push your dog through. I'm not here to get a perfect trim on a dog, no matter what their brain is doing. Take a deep breath. I know somebody just swerved off the road. Like, Chrissy, that's literally our job. No, it's really not. All right. Our job, if you think about it, is to do really nice groomings on dogs will let us do our job. We're not here to wrestle dogs and get it done. This isn't emergency medicine. We need to think back to, all right, wait a minute. How do we help this dog get through it? How do we help this dog have a better experience? How do we teach our owners that this is part of their owner responsibilities? And you know what? I'm going to drop that back in an owner's lap once in a while. Like, I'm here to help, but I'm not here to get hurt. I am not here to get hurt or to hurt your dog because mommy and daddy don't have enough time to teach their dog about having his feet touched. Right? Think about that. That's not a good reason for injury, right? Owners have responsibilities, and if they don't want to follow through with those responsibilities, then they can go ahead and do their own dog. I know. Oh, that's controversial too. How about I unpack that for a second? Here's the thing. Dog grooming is essential. You are correct. I know. 2020, that's a charged word, right? It is essential. But it's not essential that it be done by a grooming professional. Take a deep breath. Think about it. If they think that it's hilarious that their dog bites at people, they can go home and buy a trimmer, buy some scissors, and try to do it on their own. And that's usually the wake-up call. Hopefully it doesn't end in a dog being injured. Sometimes it will. But you know what? If they're not on board, then I'd rather have them injure their dog than me or you, right? And I'd rather have them get injured than me or you. So sometimes we have to remind people, like, I don't have to take your dog. I get to choose who I work with. But I'm here to help you, and I'm here to help your dog. And I want what is best for you and your dog. If I can't help you, I will help you find whatever professional you need to get the help. You know, like, we're here to work together and get it done. But like I said, the things I'm seeing, it's about the point where I can't get it done anymore. Or I just couldn't finish the groom today. We're now at the point where I just can't get it finished, you know, and he's just so bad for it. Now, I know that when people are saying that, these are honest to God, caring, wonderful groomers, right? That's not in question. Like, you know, if you've been pushing it that far and that hard, you are doing it out of the goodness of your heart, and that's awesome, right? But a little bit of knowledge, like, wait a minute, let's step back. Why does this dog need to get finished today? Right? How can I make this easier for this dog? Because there are some missed opportunities there. There's some really missed opportunities. One of those is, I want you to think about that owner is going to have trouble with that dog someday too. Right? Maybe not every owner is going to have to see where blood is coming from and inspect their dog. Maybe not every owner is going to need to put in ear medication or eye ointment, you know, or, you know, treat a wound. But many of them will, and that's when they're going to find out on their own. Oh my God, is this what my groomer has had to deal with? Because she always said he is a little bit hard, but I didn't understand. And I hear that a lot. You might be thinking you're doing your owners a favor by saying, well, you know, he's kind of tricky, but we got it done, you know. It's okay to hit them with a truth bomb too, just like I did to you guys today. You know, but to tell them, like, well, these are things your dog finds difficult, and these are some suggestions on how we're going to fix it together, right? And if you listen to the podcast, there's loads and loads of suggestions on how we're going to fix it together. But just for the purpose of right here is to be telling people, one of the ways that does not fix it, that will never, ever fix it, is to just keep pushing while he struggles. That's never, ever, ever going to help. That's emergency medicine, right? That's dire emergency stuff. That is not ever going to teach a dog to be comfortable with it. That's not going to reduce their stress. It's not going to reduce their fear. It's not going to slow anything down, right? It will never, ever help. Now, you might be thinking, but wait, what about some of these dogs that, you know, used to be a little bit wiggly? And I know dogs that used to be a little wiggly and now they're fine. Yeah, but that's different than the dog who's really struggling. Whenever I hear these things, it's almost to the point where I can't get it done, or we're now at the point where I just can't get him finished. That tells me this dog has been struggling for a long time, right? This isn't he's just a little bit wiggly and I need to calm him down a little bit. This is beyond that. This is a dog who's been struggling for a long time, and we apply more and more pressure, and now, boy, no matter how much we scare him, he's still afraid. All right, I know that's kind of cheeky, but I want you to start thinking about it that way. Like, yeah, hey, geez, he seems really traumatized. Let's hold him down and get it done more, right? And it is so common in our industry. It is still so common. And when I look at these key phrases, that is exactly what I'm seeing. That's exactly it. Man, they are trying to get it done on a dog who is struggling. And it doesn't mean that they're trying to be mean. So any trainers listening, this isn't a groomer who's being mean. This is a groomer who's like, I just need to get this done. My God, Sparky, I don't understand why you're like this. We've never ever hurt you. Because it's not about being hurt. It's about being scared. It's about being frustrated. It's about being forced. Nobody likes to be forced. I don't like being forced. If someone tried to force me into a toenail trim, it would be a fight. It would be a fight every time. Every single time. And I know that's anthropomorphic, but don't we see that in our dogs? Maybe not every dog. But certainly by the time we start saying things like, I can't get it done anymore. I couldn't get him finished today. I've always been able to get him finished before, despite what was going on. But today I just couldn't get it done. It's because that dog has hit their breaking point. And they're like, heck no, you're not coming near me with that thing. And so we need to think about how we're going to help those dogs, those owners, and why it happened. Because honestly, that's kind of a problem created by the groomer, even though we didn't mean to, okay? We created that problem by not calming them down and by not giving our owners some definite expectations. So some of this in the next part, is going to talk about how we talk to our owners about it. If you're enjoying this podcast, please remember to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes, and tell all of your friends. Now, when we're talking about the dog that we're almost to the point where we can't get it done, or the dog where we're now at the point where I just couldn't finish that grooming, and we feel disappointed. We're like, oh man, what am I going to do? Right? What am I going to do? Well, the good news is that there are still things we can do, right? We can still change our mindset. Now, in the past, I've mentioned that calm, comfortable, and cooperative is our goal. That's what we're shooting for. We want to start with calm, comfortable, cooperative, and try to maintain that as long as we can so that we don't have to deal with fear and stress and anxiety and frustration, because those all come with some hormone changes, some chemical changes in the body that make it very hard for a dog to focus. Okay? Adrenaline, epinephrine, cortisol levels, fight or flight instincts. You think about all of those things. Like, we can avoid a lot of that. But first we need to think about why. Why are we going to try to avoid all of that? Now, another thing I've mentioned quite a bit, but I'm going to mention it here, is that behavior problems are when dogs get hurt, people get hurt, and equipment gets broken. Right? Working around a behavior problem instead of addressing it isn't a good business choice. Ooh, interesting, right? Oh, wait, this isn't just about wishy-washy how the dog feels. No. It's that too, but it's also simply good business. Because that dog who's struggling, that you're almost to the point where you can't get the dog finished, and you're like, God, every single time he gets worse, I don't know what to do. What do you guys do? Like, what equipment can I use? And that's usually what happens next, is people start talking about what equipment, or distracting them with treats, or, just kind of throwing things at that, hoping something sticks, right? But really, that dog that's struggling, what are the chances that dog could get hurt in the next grooming? Pretty high, right? That dog is struggling. That dog is twisting. That dog is pulling, right? Those are soft tissue injuries waiting to happen if they haven't already. That dog could be getting really, really stressed, overheated. There are lots of ways for a dog to get injured jumping off of a table, jumping out of your arms, slipping in the bathtub, even with a mat, they're climbing the walls. Yeah, that's not safe, right? So we need to think about, there's a good chance this dog could get hurt by me trying to help him into a pretty groom, or me trying to take care of his health needs, because grooming is health need, right? We got to get these mats off, but do we really need to get them off today? Do we really need to get every single one of these mats off today? I don't think we do. And if we do, it's emergency medicine, right? If it is so dire that these absolutely have to come off today, right? There's a point where you're like, yeah, emergency medicine is the only time I think it's okay to really just pile on and get something done with a dog who is struggling. And usually the thing that they're trying to get done in emergency medicine to pile on with a dog who's struggling is to administer something to sedate them so that they aren't struggling and they aren't frantic and they aren't scared. So certainly not within the realm of pretty haircuts. I'm a pet stylist. I'm not here to do that. But I want you to think also, what are the chances that you could get hurt? Right? When do we usually send an owner away? If we've reached this point where we're like, I just couldn't finish this groom today, right? Then we start owner blaming. We start getting upset with our owners, right? Like, oh my God, do they even work with this dog, right? Unfortunately, we've often created the problem by forcing and forcing and forcing. Forcing, not enforcing, but forcing, pushing, clamping down harder, holding tighter, applying equipment in such a way that now we can get it done no matter how much that dog struggles. Now, I'm all for using things like muzzles and, belly bands and, groomer's helper, lots of different types of equipment, if we are using it still within the framework of, I'm trying to keep this dog calm, comfortable, and cooperative. There's still a mindful use of, all right, I'm going to put this on you if it does not stress you out, and if it helps, help you be steady while I do things that you're more and more comfortable with. But yeah, we get hurt. And we get hurt, and then we start trying to apply equipment so that we're not getting hurt, right? So that we're not trying to hold that dog up and hold his foot and keep his face from biting us. And believe me, I've been there. That I'm a crossover groomer. I'm a crossover trainer too. I've done it a lot, and it never pays off. It just doesn't pay off. So here's another question. What are the chances that equipment will get broken? That dog who's struggling, that dog who's having a really hard time, things going to get broken? Yeah, probably. You've never had a dog kick the clippers out of your hand or the shears out of your hand, knock something off. I had a dog bend a grooming arm once, jumping off the table and, trying to hold him in the air, but the grooming table flipped over. Think about it. We get hurt, they get hurt, equipment gets broken. Now here's another question. The dog that's almost to the point where you can't get it done anymore. The dog who's continuously gotten worse. The dog that you just couldn't get finished today. What are the chances that that behavior is going to improve if you keep doing it that way? Because it sounds to me, this is me gathering my clues and many, many years of hearing what people complain of and then find out what they've been doing. It sounds to me like you've been trying more of the same for a long time and seeing behavior fall apart more and more, right? So if that's not helping, which it isn't, if you're now at the point where you really just don't know if you can get it done, or if you're now at the point where this was the first time, he just was not going to let me near him this time, right? If that's the point that you're at, then that behavior is never going to improve by doing the same things that got you here, right? It's the same thing you've been doing, and it's not going to help. right? It's not going to work. So we need to rethink that. We need to think about what we're doing. Now, here's the other question. Because I will say, one of the things that I hear, it's like, I just couldn't finish the groom today, right? Is that making your owner happy? Well, I mean, I guess maybe my owner's happy. I mean, she knows he's like this. Actually, no, they really don't. Most owners have no idea what you're actually going through. They have no idea what you're doing, unless you're like house call or mobile, or you have people staying in your shop and watching. Most of the time, they really have no idea. So they're unhappy. They're like, oh man, what, can't you just get a little bit more? What about that piece next to his lip? Because he sucks that in and he won't let us near it. They don't have a clue, and it's not really their fault. They don't have a clue. But yeah, they're going to be unhappy. And here's the thing. I would rather have an owner be disappointed that the process will take more than just this grooming, but that the dog will improve, and the goal is for them to be good for future groomings, right? I would rather have them be disappointed that the process will take longer than be disappointed that, well, this was the time, I just couldn't get it done today. Or I'm not sure he's going to let me next time. It was really hard today, and we already have 2 people and a muzzle and this and this and this and this and this. And still, I mean, I just couldn't get it done. And they're like, well, I mean, I guess that's just what it is. But especially when you word it that way, they're thinking that you couldn't get your job done, right? Oh, no. No. It's not that you couldn't get your job done. It's that their dog is having a hard time. You got a lot done, right? So we need to think about owners and what they're looking at. And the way to make an owner happy is to tell them, hey, this is what we have. These are some options for helping him learn to be good for it. And this is how we're going to proceed, or give him a couple of options, this is how we can continue to work with him. And what I find is they might say, well, can't you just get it done? Oh, you always used to get it done. Or the last girl could always get it done. Oh, you mean the one who kicked you out? Or the one who retired from grooming at 30 because she hurt herself, right? And I'm being pretty serious about that, because a lot of groomers give up grooming. They're like, enough of this baloney. Or they give up doing the bad dogs. Bad dogs. That's such a label, right? But they give up doing any dogs who are difficult, right? Nope, too bad. Not going to do it anymore because I got hurt and I don't want to get hurt at work. So owners don't understand why we can't get it done unless we explain it to them. Listen, I want your dog to like it. I want your dog to be comfortable with it. Maybe not love it. That's okay. I don't love going to my doctor. I don't love going to my dentist. Like it's not my cup of tea, but I'm not afraid, right? We can work on these dogs so that they're not afraid. And we can talk to owners about what our services really are as a pet stylist, right? That I'm not here to force it. But it's such a huge thing in our industry, right? I mean, really, it's not that groomers are being mean to dogs. It's that we still have it in our head that we're selling a haircut. We're not selling a haircut. We're selling a service, and we're selling our time, and we're selling our expertise. And if we can't get the haircut done, it means that there's more for that dog to be working on, and more for that owner to be working on, and for us to be working on. But it doesn't mean that we didn't complete something, right? We should be working toward progress. Even if that progress is, hey, today he didn't flinch when I turned on the dryer. I didn't use it on him. I just had it on while I was doing other stuff, but he was doing pretty well with that sound today. Yeah, that's a pretty good achievement. Woohoo! Right? Instead of trying to get him dry. So, like I said, I saw it on Facebook in a couple of different places this week, and I started writing, and I'm like, God, there's just so much to write here. But those 2 statements tell me that we're still trying to push dogs through grooming while they struggle, and trying to focus on getting a haircut done, and not thinking very much about that little doggy brain in there. and thinking that, well, it's not a bad experience because, I mean, he didn't get hurt. Dude, nobody's hurting you. We're not being mean to you. We're just trying to do a haircut. Except that we are creating an atmosphere that this dog, this individual, finds very stressful and scary. And we can avoid that through training. If you'd like more information, you can find me at Chrissy at happycritters.net, happycrittersdogtraining.com, or you can join the Facebook group, Creating Great Grooming Dogs podcast, or the Facebook page, Creating Great Grooming Dogs. I really look forward to hearing from you.